we were supposed to be talking originally yesterday when the production team presumably got in touch with you as well. We're going to be speaking about Gaza and the moral catastrophe that's happening there. And for 2 weeks, it hasn't been discussed on this programme. It hasn't been in the headlines.
When a panellist on the BBC's Politics Live has to break format just to mention Gaza, you know something's deeply wrong. I'm Mike Sivia from Vox Political, and I'd like to praise Jack Symes, who is a philosopher at Durham University. Nice work if you can get it. You heard him speaking at the start of this clip. He was referring to former Labour leader Jeremy Corbyn, who tabled a parliamentary bill this week calling for a Chilcot-style inquiry into the UK government's, Tory and Labour, possible complicity in war crimes being committed by Israel in Gaza. Buy me a coffee so I can keep making these clips, and join the mailing list so you can keep watching them without interference from social media platforms and their nasty algorithms. And let's have a look at what Mr. Corbyn had to say, because it really is illuminating.
I beg to move that leave be given to bring in a bill to make provision for establishing an independent public inquiry into UK involvement in Israeli military operations in Gaza, to require the inquiry to consider any UK military, economic or political cooperation with Israel since October 2023, including the sale, supply or use of weapons, surveillance aircraft and Royal Air Force bases, to provide the inquiry with the power to question ministers and officials about decisions taken in relation to UK involvement and for connected purposes. Over the past 18 months, human beings have endured a level of horror and inhumanity that should haunt us all forever. Entire families wiped out, limbs strewn across the street, mothers screaming for their children buried under the rubble, human beings being torn to pieces, doctors performing amputations without anaesthetic, children picking grass and dirt from the ground thinking they might find something edible to eat. The survivors will face lifelong mental health consequences which will go on for generations. Home by home, hospital by hospital, generation by generation. We are not just witnessing a war, we are witnessing a genocide, this time live streamed all over the world. Today, the death toll in Gaza exceeds 61,000. And at least 110,000 people, or 1 in 20 of the entire population, have been severely injured. 2 Israeli officials are now wanted by the International Criminal Court for crimes against humanity. Madam Deputy Speaker, Britain has played a highly influential role in Israel's military operations. First, Britain has been supplying weapons to Israel, weapons that are being used to bomb the people of Palestine. This, of course, started with the previous Conservative government, but is continued with the current Labour government. In fact, between October and December 2024 alone, more arms export licences were granted than were approved by the previous government for the whole of 2020 and 2023. In September 23, the government suspended some licences but continued to allow the supply of F-35 components to the global pool. The Foreign Secretary has accepted the fact that F-35 jets are being used in violation of international humanitarian law, yet at the same time admits those parts go into the global supply chain and could therefore go to Israel. They know full well the implications. By justifying the continued licensing of these parts, our government is admitting its complicity in what are quite clearly war crimes. I find this truly astounding. The government is telling us loud and clear that its participation in this programme is more important than upholding international law and the Convention on Genocide. It's very simple. Until this government ends the sale of weapons to Israel, it will remain complicit in the mass murder of Palestinians in Gaza at the present time.
I remember when the conflict started and everybody was on Israel's side, and I also remember when the tide of opinion turned, because I think I was responsible for it. Former Politics Live presenter Andrew Neil, I think it was called Daily Politics when he was fronting it, posted on X that Hamas had been beheading babies. This is a very common propaganda tool that has been used in conflicts going back at least as far as World War I. So when I saw Andrew Neil coming out with this, my response can be summed up in 4 words. How do you know? That was what turned the tide, I think, because very quickly, either other people were picking up on what I had said, or they were saying it independently themselves. And if Israel was lying about this, what else was Israel lying about? How could we believe that country's claim to be defending itself when all the destruction we saw seemed to be of Gaza's civilians, its hospitals, for example? And how could we trust our governments who said they supported this slaughter because Israel was the victim? And now we've reached a point where Mr. Corbyn wants Parliament to legislate for an inquiry. It's probably a vain attempt. I feel sure that Labour's more than 400 MPs would be whipped to oppose such a move by their government, and never mind that this may be considered an admission of guilt. Panellists on Politics Live were due to discuss this development today, June 5th, 2025, until the segment was pulled, and Jack Symes was brave enough to put his head over the parapet and call it out.
Discussing Jeremy Corbyn bringing the, was it one of the, I looked through all of them from last week and I didn't spot, excuse me if I did it. I think it's a real shame that we've pulled that really, really important discussion. It's just a shame that I think we got our priorities wrong. I think, again, this is a problem not just with our politics, but in terms of our media, right? In terms
I
of
very much agree
what we
with
are
you.
discussing.
I'm glad Labour's Bel Ribeiro Addy supported his words. As for the BBC, in suppressing discussion of this, shame on you. I've been Mike Sivier of Vox Political, and if you found this useful, or if you believe in independent political journalism, help me keep it going. Donate £20 or more, and I'll send you a signed copy of my book, Strong Words in Hard Times. See, it does exist. Links below. Thank you for watching, and you'll see me in the next one.